Hey everybody, welcome back. I have another video where I'm going to do a little bit of just a little bit of response to some stuff that I've seen online that explains a little bit of what our next generation of Americans is going to be dealing with. And I suspect, obviously, as you've seen some of my other videos, not just the next generation of Americans, but anybody that's in Western society or culture, and I'm talking economically, not just the absolute ruination that is our society and our culture right now. But I mean, you know, you can complain about all that as much as you want, but when it comes down to it, if nobody can afford to live, then I guess some of that becomes a moot point in a way. Kind of sad and ironic, but very true. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here, and we'll take a look and see what's going on.
No, because fuck you, America, for making me pay, or for making me work 4 fucking jobs! 4 jobs! While I'm in college in rural fucking Tennessee and I can barely pay my own fucking rent!
I've cut back on eating because I literally cannot afford food.
I cannot afford to live anywhere alone.
We have two incomes and we cannot afford to eat.
In order to live in the United States, I literally just have to starve myself in order to fucking survive.
Why are we allowing it? Why?
It's literally just the two of us and we can't afford to eat with two incomes. That is just...
The American dream is dead. It is over. Gone and forgotten.
I have never, thought about death. But, how do you fucking survive here? How do you do it?
Okay. Despite the fact that I know several people that look at this would be almost like, look at the overblown tantrums of all these young people that don't want to work hard. And I have to admit that even I myself, over the years, my opinions on this have significantly shifted the more educated I became on the subject of just what was going on here in the United States and the real state of it all. It would have been not too long ago that I suppose I would have looked at this and kind of had an attitude of derision of, you know, look at these people that don't want to work hard, just maybe sort of a mocking sort of attitude. But over the years and having done my own research, I've kind of come to I've definitely come to the conclusion that they are absolutely right as far as future generations and even for the rest of us trying to survive. The middle class is continuously and completely shrinking and will be gone before too long. And let's just be really brutally honest here. If you're not making well over six figures, you're not even a part of the middle class anymore. You are on your way to becoming the working poor, and that's exactly where they intend for us to be. As far as housing goes, which I think is where a lot of this starts, we have private equity firms basically buying up as much as 30 to 35% of starter homes in most areas. And where I live, 30 to 35% of the homes have actually been bought up by private equity. And what they do is, and you have to understand their tactic to get this through your head completely, is instead of buying just like, say, two homes and then trying to raise the price on it, which would just put them out of business because there would be enough competition around them renting homes at, say, a regular rate. And you have to understand they're buying it up not so they can sell it, they're buying it up to rent it. So they buy up all these starter homes, they'll buy about 30 of them. They'll come in and they'll hit up all these boomers that are getting older, aging out. They're getting to a point where they can't repair their homes as easily. And then they will just get a hold of all these homes, collectively raise the price of all of them, which causes everybody else in the area that's renting to collectively raise their prices. And they have now taken control of the local economy, wherever that is at. They've now taken control of it. And now they're calling the shots because you don't have other options. They pretty much effectively eliminated your other options because everybody else is raising the rent, trying to make money too. At which point you'd have to be able to find some sort of a way out and find a cheaper way to live, which I guess would mean living in your car, getting an RV, moving in with somebody, finding a way to build a tiny house, finding a way to get onto a piece of land where you would be able to build something like I did, like a cabin, which is becoming increasingly hard. I'm considering doing a video on that because a lot of people are very interested in how I got from A to B with that. And I'd be absolutely happy to share that because I think people need it. I think people need the options. And I would lay out exactly in detail everything that I did and how I got there. So it isn't even just that. Then we've got, of course, the rising cost of everything with food. And I mean, like one comparison you could make, I remember back when, like, just say something as simple as bleach to use for your laundry, buck 50 tops. Now, $8 where I'm at, $8. It has gone down a little bit since then, but think about the cost of that going up exponentially. When in American history has things gone up this much exponentially? When has that happened? And even the cost of homes here, even the cost of homes, a home that might have gone for 100K, late 70s, early 80s. I have seen exactly a situation like this, a home that would have gone for 100K then, now going for $630,000. It is a home that is that much older now, going for $630,000. $630,000. Now think about that. That is an old home. That is a very old home. When in American history has the prices gone up that way? When? And I think it is clear that it isn't even just that. I mean, it's a governmental issue too, because a lot of the people that I believe are coming into the government simply because they're attempting to join up with the elite. Government, when you're talking about people, say like in Congress, House of Representatives, I mean, you're on average, you're talking about 180K a year that they're going to earn. 180K a year. Even if they never spent a dime of that money that they earned and waited a whole decade, they'd still barely become, a little over a millionaire? Well, how are members of Congress becoming millionaires 29 times over? 29 million. How in the world is that happening? How on earth is that happening? Obviously, and I'm not asking the question to be answered by you guys, I'm asking the question because let's think out loud here. Kickbacks, insider trading, basically buying into what the elite wants so that they can join up with them while they screw over the middle class. Pretty plain and simple. And that means forcing all of us basically back into a state of feudalism where they all become the landlords, we become the tenants, and we have no power to change or do anything. And now everything we do that is going to upset that system becomes something that's illegal. You come up with some sort of form of business that's going to allow you to get around all of that, illegal. And really the only way to have a solution to all of this, because when it comes down to it, the private equity stuff, and this has been confirmed by many different sources. I've heard many different interviews about this, but it has been confirmed many, many times over. When it comes back to it, a lot of the private equity firms, you trace them back far enough, they're connected to BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, who own all enough significant shares in and of each other to where they're essentially one entity, just on paper, three. Three entities that are really one. So how would you even begin to fix all this? Well, limited terms in Congress might help, maybe. You think they're ever going to agree to that? That's going to have to be imposed on them against their will somehow. That's an interesting thought. Breaking up the consolidation of power. Breaking up all these private equity firms so that they can't consolidate and form together to create basically an increased cost of everything, and nobody is dissenting. And there's no way to actually have other options that can be thoroughly explored that aren't turned into something that is somehow made illegal, because they'll come in and they'll say, well, I'm pretty sure they violated some form of a statute or some technicality somewhere that's going to allow us to shut them down, because that's what they're going to do. They're not going to try to out-compete you monetarily. They're going to try to find a way to make what you're doing that's going to threaten what they're doing illegal. And that is a very, very, very serious thing. So, I mean, when we're talking about solutions here, you have to really think about it that way. That the only way to do all of that is to break it down or find a way to undercut it, find a way to live cheaper, less expensively. And if enough people were able to do that, and that is a big stretch. I mean, enough people would have to be on board doing this to make that happen. And I really begin to wonder if that's even a possibility. Can that even happen? So definitely some food for thought. And I know for many of you, we've covered this subject from many different angles, from many different points of view over the quite a few videos that I've done at this point. But what is your take on this? How do you feel about what these young people are saying? I mean, did you feel differently about this years ago like I did, and then eventually get to a point where you're like, I don't think they're making this up. I think this is something that's really, really going on, really has been going on for a long time. And we are, I mean, like I was just saying, we are at a point where the cost of everything has gone up exponentially. This isn't just some fluke. This isn't something that's normal. And I think really you have to get to, I'm appealing to those of you that still think this is normal, that still think that there's some form of a real explanation for all of this, that I don't think there really is, other than utter and complete corruption and an intentional dismantling of the middle class. And as I've said before, and as corny as it sounds, knowledge is power. If you can identify where the problem is, you might have a chance of either fixing it, finding ways to escape it, finding ways to adapt to it as much as humanly possible. Although I got to say, I think we got hard times ahead. I think it's going to be tough. I think adapting is going to be tough. And I think that it's important to be real about that. That's the reason why I've even started this channel, is having experienced all this myself. I do work with 4 different contracting companies with the company that I have. And I experience this stuff across the board. I've seen neighborhoods getting bought up by private equity. It's not something that's just made up. I remember hearing the news and statistics about it and being like, yep, that's exactly what's happening. That's happening all over the place. So I'm just curious to see what y'all's thoughts are on this, and what your take is. And I am definitely looking forward to doing a video about trying to find ways to do sustainable, affordable living. And there's a guy that I actually have been following. He's based out of New Mexico, and he's kind of been delving into a lot of this as well, and exploring the possibilities of what he can do out there. And they have a sustainable living, I think it's kind of a community around the area that he's at. And well, I think it would be interesting to kind of inject that take into it as well. But I could talk about my own experience as well, give you guys some tips and some insight, maybe ways that you might be able to save money. It's going to take work. It's going to take planning. You're going to have to look into a lot of things locally around where you live, unless you're planning to move to another state, which some of you, that's not a financially viable option. We have to start, where you actually can afford to start, and where the rubber meets the road, and kind of go from there. So anyway, that's all for today's video. As always, make sure to drop some comments. I want to hear your thoughts. Make sure to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, because I got a bunch more stuff coming up. And you guys are amazing. I look forward to talking to you all again soon. Have a great day.